thought we would do a fun little project using a vintage button. I'm sure a lot of you maybe have old buttons from your mother or grandmother's sewing kit, and I have a little idea I've come up with on how to make one of those buttons into a pendant. And let me just grab this little one. I did give it a little sneaky peek on this one in a prior video. So here, and I'm gonna, now it might be a little hard because this is actually a clear glass button, but I'm gonna do that. You see the button? So we're gonna take this and we're gonna turn it into a pendant that you could then wear. I just thought it was sort of a really cute keepsake idea, especially if you have antique or vintage buttons that you might not want to actually use on a sweater or a shirt or anything, but you'd still like to be able to use them in some way. So this was just sort of an idea I had, and let's get to it. Hang on. Hello. Okay. Here I am. Hang on one second. Get moved up in here a little bit. Hi. Alright, so here's our antique button on the bench. I have these beautiful necklaces. They are three, just a woven cord and then a little ribbon with it. So I thought that would be perfect to use as the necklace for this piece. And I'm gonna pair this. I was just feeling really girly, and I thought that the clear glass button, it has a little faceting on the side. I just thought it would be pretty paired with pink. Maybe I'm just in a pink mood. I don't know. That could be. I'm pink pretty often. It is one of my favorite colors. Now these beads are all a vintage check glass. They're all pearlized. So I'll hold this one for you. And again, pardon my boo-boo thumb. I broke the nail this morning, and obviously I broke it down pretty far. But these are just all pearlized, so I thought it was just very pretty, feminine, a little heart shape, a little teardrop shape. Now, why have I laid it out like this? So the button's going to be sort of the centerpiece of the pendant. When you're designing pieces, you need to think in odd numbers. So 3s, 5, 7, etc. I have mentioned this before. Odd numbers are more pleasing to the eye. So the way I have this laid out, you'll say, but there's 6 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces in your pendant. If you're looking at this, your eye is going to break that up, okay? It's going to have a single one here. It's going to see the button, whether you realize it or not, as one component, and then it's going to see the pink beads as another component. So it's still going to look as if it's odd numbered when you view it. Some of this stuff is a little subjective. It's something that you just develop an eye for, whether you design for a long time or photographers think this same way. You need to break things up into thirds or odd numbers. Okay. So this is the layout I'm going to use. I'm gonna put it on silver wire, and I think I'm going to leave this part is going to be a dangle below the button, and then these two are going to be above it with a loop that will go on the necklace. Now, one thing to consider, the loop at the top is going to have to be large enough to fit over this little bit of chain and this crimp at the end of the cord. So I have to take that into consideration. I also don't like unfinished, if you use extender, this is called an extender chain. If you use extender chains on your necklaces, don't just leave them hanging like that with a link at the end and just leave it like that. It just looks very unfinished. So you should always put something at the end of there. So I'm going to have to find a little, either maybe I'll just do my little love knot, or I will find a small pink crystal to put at the end of that. So let's get started. I think I will make this component first, and I want it articulated. I want movement, so they're all going to be separate pieces, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So let me dig out some of my tools here. I need the straightener. And that. Put those over here. Alright, so the first one's going to be easy. I know what I want to do with that right away. This is just, I'm just going to make my love knot, and we're going to put the teardrop onto this piece. So bear with me while I do this. Now I've literally tied the wire in a knot at the end. That is my love knot. Now I didn't test this. Hopefully these holes are big enough. Yay! Okay. So where I was saying before, I want some movement. I could stack these other two on top like this. I could do that. I mean, that looks fine. But I want movement. I want them articulated. So when you have links that are joined together and can move, that connection is called an articulation. These are articulated so they can move. And I want movement between all my pieces, so that's what I'm going to do. Which means I'm going to make this into, doesn't need to be big, right? And if you guys are interested, I will do a tutorial on how to make wrap links, which is what I'm doing right now. And it's called a wrap link because you wrap it around. Some of this stuff in jewelry making, I know some of it looks maybe a little complicated, but really not. For the most part, most of it just is not. You just have to learn the techniques. And there you go. So it has a little loop at the top, so I can attach it. Okay. Now, I have to think about length. So, when you're making a wrap like this, a wrap link, sorry, I occasionally want to check to make sure that I'm actually in the frame so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so when you make a wrap link, it adds length, right? You have the little love knot at the bottom here, and then you have the wraps, right, and the loop. So that adds length to the bead. So I have to think about that when I'm deciding how to do this one and this one. Because I don't want the pendant really, really long, because it's going to be all of these components put together. So it's a consideration, is all I'm saying. Excuse me. I have a little bit of allergies, I think, coming up. I took Hocus out this morning with my morning coffee, and there was just pollen over everything. There was just this yellow sheen on everything outside, so probably having a little bit of that going on. Alright, so I'm going to cut a little piece here, and we're going to make another wrap link for the heart. And when you're doing this, you have to remember, and I've forgotten this more than once, a wrap link is sealed. So if you're going to attach beads together, you have to attach one bead component to the next one before you finish your wrap. And you'll see what I mean in a second here. So I could just continue now and close this up and then pretend that I've done the other side too, and then there would be no way to attach the links together. So you have to remember to attach your links to each other. And you'd think that's just a really simple thing. Who would forget? Duh. Me. I would forget. That's who would forget. And you're saying, well, why don't you just finish that one and then put the heart bead on there and attach it on the end? I find if I pick one or the other, either I do it always one way, attach it first, or I do it always the other way, attach it at the end, then I don't forget as often to do it. So I just sort of by default now attach the first go round. So here I am considering length. I normally do a 3 wrap, but I don't want this to get too long in total, so I'm going to wrap twice this time. Pardon the dead air. I apologize. Okay, so there you go. Now, I'm going to put the heart on. And before I seal this one up, I have to stop and pause. So I'm going to get that far with it, right? I'm not going to finish the wrap because I could still connect this piece. This is a little different in that I have to attach this to the button. And I need to be a little bit careful how I do it. This is glass, and because it's so old, I can see, I don't know if it shows up on camera, but there's a couple little chips and wear because this button was used. I mean, it's quite old. So I have to think about how, because I'm going to run metal through this. So I want to be a little bit delicate on putting the wire through the bottom hole and what I do at the bottom here. So I'm going to hold off on sealing this one until I get this bead sorted out. And alright, let's get a length of wire and figure out how I want to do that. I'm obviously going to run it through. Okay. So I need a little bit more. Alright. So you see what I'm doing here? I stuck it through and just with my fingers I bent it to the back this way. Now I've left a shorter piece sticking out the top. Let me hold it like this. I've left a shorter piece hanging out the top than has come out the bottom. Because I'm going to use this to begin a wrap around this piece. And then I'll put this pearl bead on there, and then I will finish an end loop that's going to get attached to this. So I'm going to bend this down the rest of the way. And I want to go all the way over. Now, I'm hoping you can see this. So this is the long wire that I put coming out the back of the button. I bent it way over the top of the button, and then I put an angle in it. You see that angle right there? I want, it's gonna hang like this, right? So I want this component, right? I want this component to hang nicely off the bottom here. And I'm going to take the shorter tail of wire and wrap it around at this angle point. Okay? And yes, you can hear the little kiddos running around upstairs, happy as can be. They really are the cutest little things. Okay. Now, shore that a little bit. Okay. So that's how it'll look. Sorry, the dead air thing. I know. I often am thinking while I'm working. I've never made this before, so this is actually the first time I'm doing it. So you're actually seeing me try to figure things out as I go. Alright, I'm gonna make the wrap right around. Give it a good little snip right there. We'll tighten it up. Now, we will attach I recommend getting needle nose chain nose pliers like this. You know what? I think I will end up doing a video talking about the tools I use. That's a good idea, right? Because some of you may have no idea what chain nose pliers are, or needle nose chain nose pliers, or flat nose pliers, or round nose pliers, although some of it's self-explanatory. Let's take a piece that size. Alright. Tighten that up. Back. And there's our first component. I think there's the first part of our pendant. Now the way that I did this, we're going to do the same thing for this hole to attach these two little guys to. And I think I will likely not articulate between these two. Let's see how it looks. So hang on. And remember, I have to make sure I make a loop large enough to fit over this stuff. So, well, I have a spare piece of wire here. If I go right up to the end of my round nose, is that going to be big enough? I bet you it's not. Ooh, I can barely fit the chain through. And this is something you definitely want to test before you get your piece finished, because if you finish your piece and you can't get it strung on onto your necklace, then what's the point? Right? Can I? Will it fit? Will it? No. Tiny, tiny, tiny bit too small. Okay. So I could do two things. I could attach it onto the necklace the way I attach these to each other and make it a permanent thing, so you can only wear this pendant on this necklace. Or I can use a larger, I can get out my bail making pliers and figure out which one of these, definitely that, but maybe that. That would be too big. I don't like that. That's too large. Piece of spare wire. I guess I can use this again. I think for this piece I want it to be able to slip on and off, in case somebody would like to put this pendant on a silver chain, so you could wear it on this, or put it on a silver chain. Okay, and that fit easily. So, this size makes that loop, right? And that will fit. So that's what we're gonna have to do there. And that's it. Alright, let me snip a little piece here. I hope the video's not running too long, but I'd rather make it just in a full sequence for you. Alright, here we go. Right, we're going to run the short one. This way, and then I will wrap it. Just like that. Give it a little snip, and we'll tuck it a little bit, just to make sure. All right. You know what I didn't check? Oh, these will fit. If these beads will fit on the wire, on the gauge wire I'm using. Yeah, do as I say, not as I do. So, I think I like that. I'm okay with these two not being articulated because it's going to be articulated up here where it hangs on. Well, it's not really an articulation, but that's going to hang off the necklace that way. Look, we actually have a little movement that way too. That's kind of interesting. Okay. Bend that over. We're going to get the bail making pliers to make a much bigger loop and turn them the right way. Flip it around, rotate, flip it over that way, then grab a hold and wrap, 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 wrap. I'm going to give this a little squeeze. And then I will take that, snip it up close. Then we're just going to give it a little tuck. Now, I don't know if you can see this. I would probably need to take some really close-up photos. But right there is the tail of the wire. And it's sticking out a little bit. You don't want that. So it tightens up your wrap and it tucks the wire in. Just give it a little squeeze. Turn it, give it a little squeeze. Now, let's run that through there. Oh, look. And there it is. What do you think? Do you like that? Actually, I want it hanging this way so you can see the faceting. What do you think? I like it. I hope you do too. So, just a neat, quick little project to do with some old buttons. Go get your grandma's sewing box and see what you got in there. Now I am going to put a little dangle on the end. It'll be like this. I'll do the love knot and I will finish that off and put a little dangle in there because you don't ever want to leave your piece unfinished. So, thank you so much for tuning in. I love you all. Kiss and a peck and a hug around the neck. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.